Hey everyone, I decided to upload this version of the July Q&A without any politics in it. So enjoy the real questions and answers about travel, life, my future, all this stuff. So great question from PB Tommy. Hi, from Brian Oga. Where do you see your long-term future, Johnny? Will you be one day returning to the US? Or do you plan on remaining in Ukraine? What are the deciding factors? Sometimes I daydream about actually moving back to the US. I wonder where I would go. Couple options. Oh, this San Pellegrino Pompello, which I think is a type of grapefruit. This one's really good. I recommend. Way better than the one I had last month's Q&A, the mint one. That was terrible. If I move back to the US, it'd be tempting to move to San Francisco just because my parents and my sister both live there, but it's so expensive, and obviously I don't want to live in my parents' house as a grown adult. Just kind of awkward and weird. But my sister actually has a big piece of land. She has she has a few, actually more than an acre, I think 1.5 acres or something, or plus, of land where maybe I'll build like a tiny home or park like a, camper van on and travel the U.S. with that, as a kind of a home base. I've always dreamt about having a camper van and just traveling all 48 states, maybe all 50 states. I also dreamt about having a small home in Florida somewhere. Actually, I think Pensacola. I've never been there, but from everything on paper, it seems like a great place with a great beach, lots to do, in this kind of location where I don't have to just be in Florida. I can go over to like Alabama and to New Orleans and all these places, especially if I have the camper van. Housing is actually somewhat affordable there. Like you can actually buy a house for $200,000, not far from the beach and not far from downtown. So Pensacola, Florida, maybe I'll be there eventually. But honestly, I think it depends a lot about future partner. If I stay single, I don't want to be the old single guy in the U.S. I think it's kind of a sad life, I'd rather be the old single guy here or in Thailand or somewhere where there's like lots of young expats and travelers, and you can kind of feel like you're doing something and you're not just hanging out in your rocker chair drinking your lemonade in front of your house. If that makes sense. Rex Gross asks, do my parents finance my lifestyle? I can't tell if that's a serious question. No, they don't finance my lifestyle. Believe it or not, the money I make from YouTube actually pays for all my living expenses, food, rent, going out, especially in affordable places like here in Ukraine and in Thailand, where I spend a lot of time. For bigger things like, big purchases, I have savings for it. I have other streams of income still. And actually, most people probably don't know this, but I actually finance my parents' lifestyle. I started paying their property taxes back in 2015, I think. So for the last, 8 or 9 years, I've been paying their property taxes in San Francisco every single year. And I told my mom to just retire about that. I think it was about that same time. She was still working part-time as a waitress, just to have a little extra money to get by. They own their house, thankfully, because housing is really expensive in SF. But I told her, I was like, listen, like I'm making really good money. I have these e-commerce stores, I have this online business. You're like, how much do you make anyways per month? Working part-time as a waitress. Like, just quit, like get off your feet, because she was having leg problems. And from that point on, I started giving my mom $1,000 every single month and paying for all their major expenses, like the property tax, if they needed some maintenance for something. And, I've been taking care of them ever since. Izzy asks, why do I hate America so much? I don't hate America. There's a lot of things I dislike about living in America. I think I'll make this entire video one day because there's a lot of pros and cons. I'm very happy that I grew up in the US and developed this mindset that I learned English as my first language, that it let me be very independent. but also there's a lot of negatives about living in the US besides just the cost of living and the division that we have now with politics and all that. Vasha T asks, how much should I buy my car for and when? There's actually a whole video about that. I bought that during the first year of war when there was no gasoline. For 3 months, there was zero gasoline. And even when we had it, you had to wait for hours in line and only be able to get a few gallons. So the guy I bought it from is a British national, and he was leaving the country, and he didn't know if he was going to come back ever. And he was like, well, I can either let this car rot on the side of the road, or I can sell it to you for 10 grand. So he sold it to me for 10 grand. Oh, Patrick asked a really good question. Hey, Johnny, just wondering if you ever missed the good old days, like back in Chiang Mai and Bali. I started watching back then. I don't miss Bali. I actually hated Bali. A lot of people ask why. For 2 reasons. One, and I've been there like 3 times. So, you know, I've been to all the good places in Bali. I've seen all the beautiful places. I've had lots of fun there. But here's why I hate Bali. It feels very inauthentic and very fake. This is where you find all those life coaches. You get these like, you know, guys and girls who just live for Instagram.
I have just moved to Bali and this is where you should too. So this is actually our new home. It's a villa in the center of Canggu in Bali, and me and my boyfriend have actually decided to live here for the next few months.
You know, their whole life just looks so beautiful on social media, but it's completely inauthentic, even though they try to overcompensate by being extra spiritual, extra authentic. It's kind of hard to explain. The other reason is it ruined the digital nomad scene in Chiang Mai. Chiang Mai, Thailand became popular for digital nomads around 2013, 2014. I was one of the first, you know, nomads there, and I was definitely the first one to start publicizing it and, you know, telling everybody through my blog and my YouTube channel, like, hey, come to Chiang Mai, come to Chiang Mai. And the reason why the community there died was because half of it started going to Bali, and they were tempted because of all these beautiful photos of, you know, these villas, and, you know, all the girls basically moved to Bali because they wanted, you know, these beautiful places where they can take photos, you know, and grow their Instagram following or whatever it was. And it really divided Chiang Mai. Chiang Mai stopped having the influx of the community that, you know, you want there to, you know, have it be an enjoyable place to network, but also just to go out and have fun and hang out, and also to date, you know. So when that shift happened, a lot of people went to Bali, and at first I thought, you know what, instead of me fighting it, let me just go to Bali as well. You know, maybe it's going to be great. And I went there 3 times and I hated it. Every time I went, I was like, I feel like it's ran by the cool kids from high school that are now, you know, 25 or 30, and they still haven't grown up, and all they're doing is, you know, getting drunk and, you know, riding their scooters without helmets, and then making fun of you if you do wear a helmet.
You gotta watch the UV after midnight in Canggu. The UV still, it hangs around.
It's still too bright.
$1 sucky toodle.
Tell us about Canggu.
Oh, look, mate. Look, so you got Seminyak, so you've got Sanua. Yeah, good places, good places. But Canggu is the spot. You know that.
We are, man. We fucking.
I'm gonna f me nan tonight, fella.
I just wanna be a motherfucker.
You know, they would rent these, you know, villas, but have like 4 people living there and sharing rooms, like, you know, but just so they can show off that they have this beautiful place, you know, with the swimming pool that you can't even swim in because it's actually the size of your coffee table. I don't know. It just felt very authentic. I hated it. And then for online business, that's where the whole dropshipping scam started.
I've just started a brand new dropshipping store here in Bali, and it's making me money every single day since I launched. I've been doing e-com full-time since I was 16 and living in Bali.
Where all these people, instead of building a legitimate business and actually selling like good products, they started dropshipping stuff from AliExpress, from China, from Alibaba, and then everybody made courses about it, and it was complete BS because it was not a good customer experience. I knew from day one it was not going to do well, because I would ask people, I'm like, don't people get mad when they have to wait, 4 to 6 weeks to get their product, and then when they get it, it's a piece of crap? And they're like, oh yeah, everything's cheap anyways, everything's like $20, so no one ever returns anything, no one complains. If they do, just give them the $20 back or something like that. And I was like, why would you do that when you can sell like a legitimate product, and build a good business that you can actually have equity in, and then sell the business later, and actually end up making more money from. But people didn't have that mindset. Everybody in Bali was about the facade, how everything looked, not actually how in depth things went. And it's Bali in 2015, 2016 that actually gave digital nomads a bad name.
All right, so regarding product research, there's loads and loads of different methods online, and loads of different methods that people are going to be teaching you.
So whenever you hear something like digital nomads or a scam, or online courses are a scam, or dropshipping is a scam, it all started in Bali, and they completely ruined it.
Do you mind if I ask you a couple questions about life in Bali?
Sure.
All right, so I'm here with...
Hi, I'm Margarita.
All right, so I'm out here with...
Tyrone.
I ask you, what do you do for a living?
Oh, I own some companies. I'm an investor. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's what I mainly do.
And so you're kind of living out here part-time now, and then part-time in Dubai, you said?
Exactly. Mainly I live in Dubai.
Okay.
And, just flew in here like 1.5 months ago. And yeah.
Awesome. So you're really living that digital nomad life.
Oh yeah, it's beautiful, man.
Sweet.
It's beautiful.
By the way, if you like my t-shirt, I actually got it as a birthday gift from the girls. Thank you so much. And also this awesome statue and the little mini bomb thing from the 3D printer crew. Thank you to everyone who donated to them. LA asks, Johnny, are you dating now that you're back in Ukraine for a while? You never really show us any of the girls that you are dating anymore in your videos. We love the video of your female friend who helped you move in and clean your new apartment. Guys, I try not to show who I'm actually dating because I think it's a little bit more private, Hopefully, like, next time I have a girlfriend or get married and they're okay with being on YouTube, I would love for this to be like, not a couple channel, not those couple travel channels, but I would love to feature them in it. But when I just start, meeting someone like on the first date or something, I don't want to show them off. So usually, whoever's in my videos are actually just friends, or someone who, lives 8 hours away and I only see like once a month or once every few months. But to be honest, my dating life's been pretty dry lately, especially I got the dog. Now I just stay home, hang out with Lordy. I go to the coffee shop, do my work. Maybe I go out to dinner with friends, but usually it's guys. I do hang out with some female friends. None of them are, love interests or anything. They're just friends. I like having, guys and girls in my social group. When I was young, when I was in my 20s, I was way too public about my dating life, my sex life, and showing off. I think part of that was from just immaturity of trying to, show that, hey, I'm one of these cool guys that has beautiful girls, that I'm getting laid, and try to break the Asian male stereotypes that, we're all losers and virgins. But now that I'm older, all that's in the past. That was a different, generation or a lifetime ago. It was literally decades ago. I had a couple questions about Benjamin, who was bald and bankrupt. Do I stay in touch with Benjamin? When am I going to travel with him again? Actually, I had him on my podcast the other day.
All right. Bald, welcome to the show.
Johnny, it's a big pleasure to finally be on the podcast. It's been a long time coming. I've been listening to the podcast for a long time, but to actually be on it is, well, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit nervous. So be kind with me with your questions about investing, please.
It's called Invest Like a Boss. I'm the co-founder of it. Now there's 3 of us. There's Sam, Derek, and myself. We started this, more than 8 years ago, when we were all living in Chiang Mai. Or at least me and Sam were living in Chiang Mai. And Bald and Bankrupt came on to talk about how he's no longer bald and bankrupt. He's now bald and a millionaire. And where he's invested the money, how I've helped advise him on how to invest it. It's a really, really interesting episode. You can find it anywhere you find podcasts. Just search for Invest Like a Boss. If you want to see the video version of it, I actually put it in the Patreon for the Invest Like a Boss podcast, and also in the channel members area of YouTube. It's actually been up for almost a month now because they got early access to it. So go check it out. I don't know when the next time I'm going to see Bald is, but we do keep in touch once in a while. Fimos asks, any plans to diet and how so? I recommend intermittent fasting, where you start eating only after 5 p.m. No offense, just seriously asking. I did intermittent fasting and lost 15 kilos in 3 months. So thank you very much for that nice comment and not just calling me fat. I actually used to do intermittent fasting and I was in much better shape. If you watched any of my Muay Thai videos or any of my videos when I was a nomad, especially around 2014, 2015, I was in really good shape and I was much smaller and lighter back then. If anything, at that point, I was almost too small. I was eating, I was fasting, not having my first meal until like 1 p.m. and then stop. I wouldn't eat again until, I'll stop eating at 5 p.m. So I only had like a 4 or 5 hour eating window. And I was completely carb free, zero sugar, zero alcohol, zero, bread, nothing. Basically, I only ate vegetables, meat, and that's pretty much it. Vegetables, eggs, meat, butter, and I was in really good shape. It was great, but it was so hard to do. It was so restrictive, and I really couldn't enjoy life. I couldn't have food at most restaurants, and if I did, I'd have to be that super annoying person and be like, listen, can you make this, but without sugar, without using vegetable oil? Can you instead cook everything in butter or ghee, or but make sure it's not vegetable ghee, or cook it in coconut oil, and then can you make sure you don't put any this sauce in there? And then say I would only drink soda water when I was out with friends, and I couldn't even drink this. Like, this doesn't even have that much sugar in it, but it has a little bit because this is like a sparkling water juice. I couldn't drink any of that alcohol. I didn't have wine. Like, I had a girlfriend who got mad at me because in the entire 2 years we were together, I never even had a glass of wine with her. And when we broke up, she saw that I was drinking again, and she got upset. She's like, how, why did we not enjoy life together? We never had cake together. We never had anything together. So I don't want to go back to being that strict, but I am doing a bit of fasting. I never have my first meal. I try not to have my first meal until at least after 12 o'clock. So the mornings I fast, and I try to have my last meal, by like 8 p.m. I'm trying to bring that down to 7 or, but the thing is, I enjoy going out with friends to eat dinner. Sometimes we have a drink or two. So that part's hard. But what I'm really trying to do is cut out on the bread and cut out on the sugar and the sweets, and just do more exercise. Here's a question: since you've already done a lot of things in your life and had many income streams and fit your digital nomad lifestyle, if you could turn back a time and focus more on a particular hard or soft skill, which one or two would you choose? A skill that might take longer to master but was rewarding in the long term. It's hard to say because you can't predict the future. Right now I would say learn how to do something with AI because maybe that's the future. Anything in STEM, science, tech, is always really good. It's always very useful. If someone's going to go to university, I would say 100% study a STEM degree, science, tech, math, or engineering. But as far as other skills, if you want to start a business or do something, what I would recommend is just pick one thing, and just, as long as it's working, just go 100% into it. Don't spread yourself too thin. I actually have a video where I broke down my 13 streams of income, the 6 businesses I had and 7, kind of semi-passive or passive income streams. I'll link that below. I still make money from some of them, but it's not my focus anymore. And my biggest mistake, even though I had all these income streams, I think I did that first out of curiosity because I was meeting all these digital nomads who had different businesses, and I would interview them for my podcast called Travel Like a Boss podcast. And I would get so excited that I would always try whatever the new business there was, and I was doing a case study for it. They almost all worked. I pretty much ended up making money from all the different businesses, whether it was selling on Amazon, publishing books, these online stores, doing Udemy, doing freelancing, different types of investing, whatever it was. They all pretty much worked, but what's really, really funny is I would hang out and keep in touch with people that I met through this journey. And a lot of them actually didn't even start doing whatever XYZ business it was until when they heard it on my podcast, and then they would tell me a year or two later how well they're doing, and I was like, man, you're making more money than I am. And it's because they just focused on one thing. A couple people mentioned my Bass Pro Shop hats. Jose asked which one is my favorite. They're all my favorite, and they're all gifts. So thank you, my buddy John, for giving me this one, starting off my collection. These 3 were from Andrew Mikado. Thank you for my great birthday present. I like this color a lot, but it doesn't really go with that much. But I did wear this, when I'm wearing like all black. This dark blue one I really like because it's the Ukrainian flag color, the yellow and blue. And this is kind of cool because you don't see these colors that much in Ukraine. Like in Ukraine, I don't know if you notice in the background, when I'm at the market or just walking around, people wear a lot of primary colors, and the buildings are like either gray or like a primary color. So when you don't see these like teals or weird greens that much. So I really like it. And it's also something just from home, from the US. I do miss the US sometimes, and I want that connection. So Bass Pro Shops is something that we don't have out here. We got a couple more questions, but I think I'm gonna end this because it's been getting pretty long. Thank you so much for everyone who asked questions. Next month I'll do this again, so keep an eye out for the community tab. If you haven't subscribed already, please do, because I've noticed that like 70% of people who watch my videos, even to the end like you have, somehow aren't subscribed. So let's try to get back over 250,000. And if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, because that helps other people see it. Thanks so much, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.